Welcome back, everybody. It's time for our second team match of the evening. It is Seongnam ROX up against Liiv SANDBOX. Seongnam ROX undefeated so far here in KDL Preseason 2. An unexpected result thus far. But Peter, you think maybe that could change tonight?
Yep, they have 2 matches left to play, and both are against Liiv SANDBOX and KWANGDONGFREECS. So this is their hardest test yet. They need to win this one against Liiv SANDBOX to even have a chance at keeping up that flawless record.
Yeah, it is definitely possible, though. This team has a perfect preseason here, as all hands in. Teamwork has been fantastic for ROX thus far, really outdoing expectations after what was a very up and down preseason 1 with some weak moments in item mode. But Liiv SANDBOX, this team needs no introduction. A dominant team that has gone to every finals since they joined Kartrider and Kartrider League. Now KDL going to the first team finals, Neil leading the charge. Some hiccups along the way this season with the roster changes coming through after the departure of 2 of their key players, but they've still maintained a top spot here. And I think that even though it's an undefeated ROX, this is a series that they absolutely could take, and I would go as far as to predict them myself.
Yeah, you were saying about that before broadcast, and I do agree with you because Liiv SANDBOX, their only 1 loss comes against KWANGDONGFREECS, who is showing top their form. And every time Liiv SANDBOX went to an ace match, it was Neil winning it for them.
Yeah, he has been the clutch player he hasn't been oftentimes in Preseason 1. But take a look at some of the stats here for ROX Esports, because look at their average speed rank actually ding first place across the league. That is pretty insane. And consider also they're trying to make themselves a top 3 team, right? That's kind of like the story they're looking for here. The stats kind of back up that even though, yes, it has been weaker opponents, their wins have been dominant.
Absolutely. Thing with that first place and average ranking overall, absolutely shining in the league, as we see ROX saying, fear always lies with hope.
Yeah.
That's a deep one.
That's really deep. They have only dropped 2 matches, 2 games rather, like 2 modes, like speed mode and item mode, etc. They've only dropped twice. They're plus 14 going into this one. As we'll see if the hope and the fear are going to go together here for defending finalists Liiv SANDBOX, with Byung-Soo coming in this roster, Dalda as well. A very different look for this team than what we saw in Preseason 1 and what we saw obviously in Kartrider League. But they look very confident coming to this one. And, you know, they had a team rebuild. They still look strong. And they're looking for one of those spots here in the top of the bracket.
Absolutely. They do have the highest defense rates in the whole entire league, which has been their concept so far, and it's been working great. Liiv SANDBOX saying, if we win today, we will secure a spot in the upper bracket finals. Let's go, LSB. We can do this.
Yeah.
That seems strangely longer than the Korean version.
Yeah. I'm gonna like reading the Korean one though. It does. It just does end up working out that way though.
Yeah.
Literal translation, as you know, sometimes that's how it goes with Korean, but very basic sign there. You know, it's straight, it's short and sweet to the point.
I like
fan.
It gets right to the point.
For a lot of Kartrider, you could just sum it up right there as well. You know, ever since he came onto the stage here in Korea, a lot of Kartriders just like you put it right there in that box. Here's our track list for tonight in our second series. Japan Circuit will actually come through here. Bit of a rare one. Then Zigzag Timberland, Boom Hill Tunnel. 3 shortcuts once again coming through in Terracotta Twister, with no priority on that Terracotta Twister, only coming in at the end. And once again, I mean, Liiv SANDBOX just keep banning New York Rally, and somebody tells me they just don't think they're as good at it as I think they are, but they just keep removing it. They never pick it. As we'll see, Brazil Circuit, which has also been a pretty good one for Liiv SANDBOX, taken away here by ROX. Singapore as well, a newer one.
Yeah, ROX putting a lot of respect on the WKC tracks. They're banning 2 out of 3 of them. The other one, Liiv SANDBOX, was able to first pick right away for this round number 1. So it's time to see if Liiv SANDBOX can pick up their advantage here in WKC Japan Circuit.
Off we go, our second banger series we have here tonight in the KDL, as ROX take on Liiv SANDBOX here. Hyunsoo starting these off elite, but a very tumultuous start. Neither team with a clear advantage.
But ROX is sitting right now back in the 6-7. They need to win against Neil and Jimin if they want to have a chance at breaking this 1-2 from Liiv SANDBOX.
Yeah, now that clear advantage almost coming through here for Liiv SANDBOX, but the breakaway is there. Duzzi gonna try to push in and take that away as they are losing control very quickly, and Hyunsu losing a lot of speed here now, and a lot of collisions coming in. Byungsu and Hyunsu maintaining top 2, but I mean, right now, ROX hot on their heels. Something's gonna have to change here. JJONG also very close by now, actually breaking between the two of them, and Hyunsu looking a little bit fragile here in this third place spot.
Ooh, I love that inner coming out of Hyunsu there. Is able to take the advantage. Now JJONG, he's going to look for a fight of his own, but he's going to get bumped back into line by Hyunsu.
Ding here, occupying third place with that really nice inner from Hyunsu. He pulled back up the second, but will lose control here for a moment. It is just very back and forth. Neil sitting back in 8th, but never underestimate this guy's ability to jump from 8th to 3rd. He does it all the time, especially in a tightly packed race like this on Japan circuit.
See our top players just trading blows right now. Actually, that was a really aggressive turn there from Byungsu trying to execute their opponent into the wall, but it didn't work out.
And Neil and Jimin are keeping JJONG back here, and Liiv SANDBOX are really crushing. They have the 1-2 win condition. They've got so many points right now, and Neil is just making sure that JJONG cannot be a factor in this race. It's really up to Spell or Duzzi to actually take those top 2 spots right now, or I think ROX are going to be out of luck here.
Right now, it's Spell really trying to break apart that 1-2. As you said, Wolf, they need to keep up this 2-3-4 because that can be a winning formula now. Hyunsu and Neil, they're trying to get the 1-3-4 back.
Yeah, Byungsu's just so far ahead here. I just don't see it happening. Hyunsu's blocking also fantastic. Even if Duzzi passes here, it's not enough. And Liiv SANDBOX will take the first track here on Japan circuit as JJONG was just completely put down this entire race. And I like that we had our observers showcasing how much of an impact Neil made defensively at the back of the pack, because he was not only keeping JJONG back, but really disrupting the rest of the squad as well. There was just not enough members to contest there at the front. So even though Duzzi had that final push to get the second, not only did they have 1 and 2 before that, but they also had 2, 3, 4. You know, like it's really rough when you have this much control of the top spots, and JJONG, one of your key players, is just a non-factor.
And I love that Hyunsu and Byungsu, the new Su duos for Liiv SANDBOX, were able to keep up that lead for so long, because I think that was very pivotal along with Neil's defense, as you stated, Wolf. And it feels like Byungsu is starting to replace the shoes of Insu.
Yeah, I mean, it's big shoes to fill. I myself won't go that far yet, but I think that, let's say that it feels like less of a gap, right? I think that he's definitely caught up quite a bit, and doesn't feel like a liability, at least in this first race. We'll see what happens as we move into our second track, though. We'll see if ROX, our undefeated team, can bounce back on Forest Zigzag Timberland.
Kickstart our speed round number 2 in ROX's choice of track. Liiv SANDBOX leading 1-0 here. And as I was saying earlier, I like that at least Byungsu is filling the Su name. The nickname is still around for the team.
Oh, no, absolutely, yeah. I was going to say, you know, I mean, I think he's definitely catching up, but he's got a lot more work to do if he wants to fill the legacy, right? And I do agree in terms of being the Su name. He is absolutely matching that thus far. And look, he's once again up here in the top few spots, is in first right now. And ROX once again having the same problem that they had the last track, where Neil is blocking Ding and Duzzi out. This time it's not JJONG, so at least they have their front runner up here actually contesting. That's exactly what ROX wants, but it's just a numbers game. I don't think they can win.
Yeah, Neil is just playing sweeper again, just like track number 1, and it's working pretty good because Byungsu and Jimin, they have a firm lead, and Hyunsu can go up to be that 1-2 if needed.
Yeah, JJONG here, 1v3 here, as Hyunsu's just constantly colliding with him, making it very difficult for him to actually find the angle he wants here against Byungsu, as Jimin's in first and is starting to build quite a gap. And Zigzag Timberland is really difficult when you actually are, if you're 1v1, you have a lot of opportunities to pass, but if you're 1v2, the track is just so narrow, it's just really difficult. You see Byungsu sweeping here to make sure that JJONG doesn't have great opportunities, even with that draft, for a pass. And see Ding trying his best.
Yeah, Neil right now, he's content just blocking out Spell and Duzzi in the back. Right now, Hyunsu playing midfield. trying to prevent Duzzi from catching up. Ding and JJONG, however, this is the 2 duo looking to break apart the 1-2 from Liiv SANDBOX.
Yeah, they really just need a 1-2 themselves here. And, well, Spell moves up to 5th. I mean, maybe they could actually create some disruption, especially with Byung-Soo having that awkward collision here, but he recovers so nicely, and he's just zigging and zagging like the Timberland to block JJONG out. He moves up to 2nd, but JJONG has a large enough gap here that it looks like Liiv SANDBOX have got this unless something really goes wrong here. Ding also blocked out by Byung-Soo right now. We're getting to the final part of this track.
Yep, and we're seeing that 1-3 control firmly in the hands of Liiv SANDBOX here. Ding, not able to find the angle to surpass Byung-Soo, and JJONG, he's going to look for the inner here and try to block out Jimin. It does win him that first position.
They're going to have to move somebody up, though. Duzzi versus Neil. Duzzi's so far behind. Oh, man, Neil just really snapped his ankles there, and now he is just not going to be able to catch up. 400 meters to go. It's just 1 point here for Liiv SANDBOX, and they are going to take it in the end. JJONG couldn't take that first place spot, and Neil, I don't know if we'll get a replay of it, but it looks like he slammed Duzzi into the wall back there because he dropped back about a whole extra turn. And Neil, he's got this new identity on this squad because in Preseason 1, he was kind of doing everything. Sometimes he'd be the front runner, sometimes he'd be a sweeper, sometimes he'd be at the back. But this season, he's been playing mostly defensively, and he's kind of come into his own new role here. It's actually a new track record here on Zigzag by Jimin. But it's just impressive to see what Neil is doing, and I really like that, you know, again, we're constantly taking a look at it because his impact here makes it so that it's not just a 1-3-4 or a 1-2 that Liiv SANDBOX need to win. They could really create a lot of problems for ROX in terms of the numbers they have to contest at the front.
We were able to see that reflected in the stats as well, where Neil, he was able to make Duzzi take so many collisions, and Duzzi not able to find the way to pass through Neil. A single point in that match was absolutely key in the back, and it was the really strong speed players in Liiv SANDBOX that was able to secure the rankings in the front, and that's what you call a team play.
Yeah. Neil is just so good at everything. It's wild. Every time you think he's got it, you figured Neil out, he'll do something else and surprise you. Let's see if Liiv SANDBOX can close out speed as we move into potentially our final track, the Village, Moon Hill Tunnel. Off we go, Liiv SANDBOX with a 2-0 start after what was very one-sided second track. You're going to take the left side here with ROX.
Yeah, and ROX right now, they're winning in the overall positions. I don't think they're going to be able to keep that up for long because now the tracks will get more chaotic and it will get thinner. We're seeing Neil going for an aggressive inner here. He does get blocked out by JJONG.
Yeah, Jimin here will push up to first place. And, I mean, you can see how tight the race is right now. That's not what you want to see. But Jimin is outnumbered at the moment here in the front, so Byung-Soo needs to actually try to break through as ROX have Ding and Spell. Kind of an unusual setup here for them at the front of this, and we'll see if Spell can actually make that sweeping work. He's been great at it in the past.
Ooh, but he does get set back a bit. He's going to crash into his own teammate there in Ding. Jimin really trying to win the lines against Spell here. They're crashing into each other consistently. Now Ding coming into first place.
Yeah, look at Neil as well in picture doing a lot to stop Duzzi from getting up in there. And he wasn't able to stop JJONG, but he's still trying here as Ding with a spin turn. Nice recovery.
Yeah, it was a bit of a slow spin. Oh my god, Liiv SANDBOX.
That's rough. I mean, that might just cost you the race. It's a single lap track here.
Whoa!
Ding also off though.
Everyone is faltering right now, but it looks like ROX does have the better position here. Spell, he's going to be able to secure the first place. Duzzi goes for the spin turn in style.
Looks like it was Jimin who actually ended up missing the shortcut ramp there. We'll have to get another look, but I mean, that is a death sentence. If you mess that one up or if you're knocked away, you just aren't going to win that one. It's just not going to happen. The recovery takes way too long. And that was it. After that, Seongnam ROX just pushed super far into the lead. And despite Hyunsoo and Byung-Soo's best attempts to actually look for the 1-2, just too big of a point deficit at that point. Well, the 3-0 is halted, you know? Liiv SANDBOX looked like they were just going to take this one for free after the two dominant runs, but ROX bouncing back in a big way. And I want to say it was an error, but it may have actually been a proactive play. So unless we see a replay, I don't want to confirm that or not, but I can tell you one of the Liiv SANDBOX players did not make the shortcut jump, and that is what is their demise.
Yeah, that, as you said, Wolf, it just kills so much momentum. Even if you try to spin around and go up on the ramp again, by that point you might retire. So
yeah,
it's really tough to recover from that one. Liiv SANDBOX, I'm sure they're not too concerned because they are still up 2-1 against an undefeated team at that.
Yeah, really a competitive lineup between these two. And I mean, Liiv SANDBOX bouncing back in a big way potentially tonight, but it's going to have to be the speed mode they need to finish out as small errors. We do have an issue being claimed, so we will update you guys as soon as possible as we are getting the replay reviewed now.
Yeah, we want to see those replays, see what happened at that jump.
And it is Jimin, and I'm watching it now.
Oh, that's interesting.
So from our point of view, it looked like based on his character model, he was clearly on the ramp, and yet he collided with something inside of the ramp itself. And I actually, you know, it's not up to me, but based on what I'm seeing here, it might definitely need some additional review because that did not look normal.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get the replay up on the screen for you guys. But as we take a look, it seems like Jimin, he tried to go up the ramp, but he ended up crashing into it, and he got set back pretty far behind.
Yeah, his kart model goes into the ramp itself for a moment and collides with the box that the ramp is attached to. So if you guys are familiar with this track, you'll know that there's a plank on top of a board, and it looks like his kart clipped through the plank and hit the board instead. And then he, of course, made as quick of a recovery as he could have. And on the second attempt, he's able to get over the ramp just fine. So it may just be that the angle he took, you know, his kart actually didn't really make it on, but
yeah,
it's hard to know.
He tried to make it up on the left side, and the second time he tried, which he succeeded, he came up directly in the middle. So that could be the difference where we need to determine if that's an issue or if it's intended.
Yeah, exactly. If that's just the way the actual ramp works.
Right.
Because he's clearly massively in the lead. He goes for a bit of a spin turn, and then on his recovery, it's not a spin turn, but it's like a tight wide turn.
Yep,
here it is. So here it is now. So he goes up on the plank here on the left side, and part of his kart body is off. So he collides with, it looks like, the box below, and then of course instantly presses R to reset, and then goes over. And yeah, very odd. So that's exactly what happened there. Well, that's exactly what we can see. We don't know exactly what happened, but that's why they have made the claim.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely understand from the perspective of Jimin there why he would want to try to pause this and have us take a look at it again, because definitely it seems suspicious. It could go either way. We are waiting on the judges for their decision on this one.
Yeah. It's really a tricky one to call because, you know, you'd have to potentially go load up the map yourself and try it to see if you could repeat it or not. If it's an easily repeatable thing, then, you know, maybe Jimin should have known better about how he approaches the ramp. I've never myself experienced this on this ramp, on this shortcut.
Me neither. And we've never seen it happen before either in any of the pro matches. So it's a first time for sure for many of us.
And his kart body, I mean, you guys got to see the replay very briefly. His kart body was partially, you know, off of the ramp, but generally speaking, the expected behavior for me, if I were Jimin as well, was to think that I have enough of my kart body on the ramp to actually make that work after recovering from that outer that he took moments before.
As you said, although he came in from the left, his whole kart body was within the ramp. It's not like it was hanging off of it by any means. So I feel like usually it should have been all right for Jimin to come in the angle he did, and he should have been able to boost off just fine.
Yeah. Well, we will update you guys when we hear anything more, as the discussion is in progress about this. And, you know, what will likely happen is the ruling will be made either the loss will stand or it will be replayed. Those are basically the two options.
Right, you can take a look at our judges taking a look at what happened, and they're discussing the angle it's coming in. You can see his hand motion. He's saying, look, he was right there. He almost made it.
Yeah. And this may even, you know, to really know, you, like I said, you either have to load it up or have someone who's very experienced with the technical aspects of the track itself. It's up to the referees to decide. And it may be one of those things where the safest case is just to regame it, because it looked pretty suspicious, right? And I said it was likely a mistake because it looked like he just simply missed the ramp and hit the edge of it. And I was like, but maybe somebody bumped him, right? You know, we're not sure. But in the replay, it's very clear that he expected he'd make it up the ramp there and went straight through. And of course, this is in a fast-paced game like Kart Rider. You can't just raise your hand the second you bump and be like, whoa, 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 that's not right. You know, you have to review afterwards, let the race finish first. That's how it plays out here. We'll watch this one more time. So he recovers from this outer. So he gets bumped to the outer part, collides there, and then wants to recorrect. And then you see how quickly that happens as well, by the way, like in the blink of an eye. Like, we watch it in slow motion, but you watch it in real time, and it's like, whoo.
That's what Jimin saw, too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to tell when you're not getting that slow motion, pixel for pixel replay. But our referees, they are looking at it. They've looked at it countless times to make sure that they can get the correct decision across for you guys, because it's very important. This rematch potentially could change things quite a bit, because if Liiv SANDBOX play this track again, then ROX...
Yeah, they could take a 3-0.
Yeah, they don't have a chance anymore to win in speed.
And also, the truth of the matter is as well, Peter, is that this is actually the defining moment, right? Until this moment, Liiv SANDBOX have absolutely basic clutched the track. Like, they have such a massive lead, but this was the moment where all of that momentum was lost, and ROX was able to win because of this as well. So, you know, if you decide that it's actually intended, this is normal, then it's like, well, I mean, you lost, yeah, right? You know, you bump and that's how it is.
Right.
But we have confirmed, we have confirmation that the track will be replayed. And I think this is, for me, a reasonable decision considering it just didn't look right.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be happy with this decision. Even the players on the side of Seongnam ROX are going to feel like it was a bit of an unfortunate event that happened to Jimin here. Not really his fault, because as we talked about, it really seemed like his trajectory was going to make it up the ramp.
And you watch the speed in which all of that happened as well. When we had that extra shot of him, it's crazy how quickly he was able to recover from 2 collisions, one from one of the ROX players, and then off of the wall, still recovers and then gets back to the ramp, but then gets trolled by the ramp, basically. Can't make it over. So, yeah, really tense situation, but looks like the Seongnam ROX players are being informed that we will have a rematch, and the referee decision has been made, so we'll let you guys know. Boom Hill Tunnel has been loaded up, so we'll be jumping back into this one very shortly.
Right, it seems like we have reached a consensus for the most part, and Boom Hill Tunnel, as you said, Wolf, we are expecting to get it ready very soon, and we likely won't see this happen again, because the reason why Jimin came in at a weird trajectory, like you said, was because he bumped into walls.
Yeah, exactly. It's very unlikely this is happening again. Like you mentioned, we haven't seen it happen ever before. I've never experienced anything like this. I don't think Jimin has experienced anything like this, so we will be replaying the track. ROX players aren't going to be happy to hear that, but that's how it is. The decision has been made.
It's a big decision for ROX, because they won this track potentially, but now they're being told, no, you didn't win. So now they would have to replay a match where they're down 2-0. So that's why they're taking it very seriously and making sure that, you know, it's fair for all sides.
Yeah, everybody wants to win, and like ROX played their best game too, right? So,
right. Okay, so it seems like the players and the coaching staff on the side of ROX, they want to double check the issue with the referee themselves.
Yeah, they want to review, because usually the referees review this independently from the teams, and now they are getting the opportunity to review the information as well and communicate the decision. But it looks like headsets back on. Preparation to start the regame of Boom Hill has been made. So once all is reviewed, we will jump back into this one. I do appreciate everyone's patience watching from home.
Yep, everyone right now is hoping to get back into the match as soon as possible. And you can see the discussion being made right now, just making it really clear to the players and the coaching staff of ROX why this replay is happening, making sure to talk about the details, like how it seemed like really that Jimin should have been able to make it up, which is the reason why we're allowing a replay.
Exactly. And if this was a common or known thing that every player was familiar with, and the referees were also aware of it, then it would be on Jimin, like, okay, you know, you actually have to go a little bit further to the right, but It's just not a common thing. It's not intended behavior. It's not normal. So just finishing up the communication to the ROX staff. And this little updates we've been given, and the room will be remade.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, life will go on. The race will go on. The series will continue, and ROX have another opportunity to bring this one back.
I'm happy with this.
I'm happy with this result as well, based on what we've seen and based on what we know. And look, Peter, it's time. We're going back into Village Boom Hill Tunnel Part 2 to see if ROX can stop this 3-0 from Liiv SANDBOX.
We are back for a rematch here in Speed Round 3. And Liiv SANDBOX, they are leading 2-0, so this is match point for them.
It certainly is for speed mode, as right now, Hyunsu pushing his way into first. Byungsu going to take the outer here, and actually they're just cramming Ting into the wall here, but he actually will just recover just fine, holds that draft. And in terms of the numbers right now, Liiv SANDBOX do have an advantage, but it is very close.
Liiv SANDBOX, they tried to serve a Ting sandwich, but Ting, he refused to be served on a plate.
No.
He is still racing strong in second place. Actually, now, he's able to cut in front of Byungsu here. That is a huge lead.
Yeah, huge lead indeed. Byungsu uncontested outside of Ding here at the moment. And Duzzi is just on the edge. As you can see, actually, ROX have control of the middle of the pack right now. Jimin and Neil significantly far behind us. Look at this. They're doing the Neil build, bouncing off the rail. Byungsu and Hyunsu, Suduo gonna pull out ahead, and they have the 1-2 win condition. So despite the middle of the pack going poorly for them, if they can maintain 1-2, everything is gonna be fine. Is everybody making the ramp this time?
Yeah, Hyunsu, he got stopped out by the box there, but he's still holding on to fourth place.
Ding.
And wow, Ding, he's going to be able to dodge the collision there. And it seems like Duzzi and Ding are going to come in for a 1-2.
1-2 finish here. No weirdness this time around. ROX taking the win a second time here in the rematch. The big double victory here. And now they've got the chance for a reverse sweep here. And what could be a big turnaround in this series. And I mean, they still have the possibility of getting the perfect round robin here, the perfect regular season. As you can see, the difference here is pretty massive. Neil and Jimin unable to, unfortunately, recover in this from the back of the pack.
Right, a reverse sweep is a tall task to ask for, but a team like ROX, if they want to maintain their perfect season record against Liiv SANDBOX, they have to be able to pull it off. They need to be able to handle these high-pressure situations.
Yeah, it is so far so good for them. I mean, this is the team that has players that have quite a bit of experience now under their belts, JJONG especially. See what happens as we move into, again, a rarer one, Mine, 3 shortcuts. Off we go. Seongnam ROX here battling back against Liiv SANDBOX. Both these teams so strong right now. This is one of our closest matches potentially of the season. ROX with a 1-2 lead.
Yeah, Duzzi and Ding really looking to carry this one in all the way home, but Jimin, he's here to disarray the 1-2. Neil is there as well for a lot of the sweeping. It seems like Liiv SANDBOX took a dive there into the lava.
Yeah, multiple players actually getting knocked off. It looks like they're maybe Neil and Hyunsu, but they are at the back of the pack here. Right now, 1-2-3 in clean position here for Seongnam ROX, and Byungsu, he's going to force his way in to that top 3 spot, but he doesn't have any support right now, and Neil is trying to battle back. We can see the distance between him and the rest of the pack. He's got 2 Liiv SANDBOX players behind him, and this would be a massive comeback for Liiv SANDBOX to pull this off. As Byungsu is denied. Sick defense there from Seongnam ROX.
Absolutely executed off that one. All the way into 8th place. Now it's up to Neil. It feels like Liiv SANDBOX players are playing baton pass, trying to be that player to deny the 1-2, but it's too tall of a task right now.
It really is. Neil just trying to draft here aggressively, but he will have to move past the defensive Duzzi. And look at how Duzzi is trying to actually create chaos here, trying to push him into the wall, but Neil handling it extremely well. The problem is he's not gaining the distance he needs to. The 1-2 is now much wider of a gap than it was before. and Duzzi actually still gets to keep that third place spot. This one looks all but over, even if Neil is able to somehow crack top 2. It's impressive what he's doing here individually, but it just doesn't look likely. 500 meters to go here, and I think we might have a 5th race of speed.
It seems like it. Liiv SANDBOX are winning the middle right now. They secured a 3-4-5, but 1-2 is always a win condition. So ROX, off of a strong performance from Bing and JJONG here, we go to that round 5.
Round 5, our 6th track to be played in this series, coming down to the wire right now, and Liiv SANDBOX had such a strong start. First track, you argue a little bit back and forth, but pretty one-sided. Second track, extremely one-sided. Then you have the Jimin collision with the box, and everything changes. Now you have ROX with a dominant win on the 3rd track. 4th track here, some errors on the side of Liiv SANDBOX mean they just don't have the numbers game. And even though Neil played so well individually, they were just so far behind from the outset that ROX almost get a walkover on this one out of that early error. And now we're moving to, weirdly enough, the final track, Terracotta Twister. The one that you normally see early on in the series. We'll watch this mistake once again as Neil and crew are actually on the edge here and just get pushed off. And then Byung-Soo trying his best alone, but then he's also knocked back.
Great defense there from Spell, and you can see all those unfortunate happenings for Liiv SANDBOX, but so much time for ROX. They were able to just run away with the 1-2, focus on their builds without any pressure.
Yeah. ROX is a rock too.
I like that one. It makes sense.
We're keeping it simple tonight. I didn't read the top part, but I saw the bottom part. Let's move into what will be our deciding track between these two teams in speed. World Tour, Terracotta Twister.
This is the final match of our speed round between Seongnam ROX and Liiv SANDBOX. This match will determine who wins the speed set.
Yeah, will definitely be a huge momentum swinger. It means the winner of this could close it out in item mode. Now Neil, is holding first place. We'll have it taken away from him. Momentum definitely in ROX's favor right now.
Right.
Bit of a collision there, though. Unfortunately for Liiv SANDBOX, furthers that.
Right, and Liiv SANDBOX, they are absolutely taking the midfield right now. Spell and Duzzi, they are losing out, and Jimin, if he's able to catch up and play more defense, he's going to buy a lot of time for the top of Liiv SANDBOX. A lot of collisions here. Yeah, a lot of collisions, but Hyunsoo and Neil will actually be the biggest benefactors of those, as Ding trying to use that draft and a nitro to actually pass, but Hyunsoo will successfully block, and we're about to reach the checkpoint here, moving into the second lap, and Neil and Hyunsoo had the 1-2 for quite some time, but the other problem is, even with Ding passing, they're going to need more than that. Now, Spell, that could change things. If he actually is able to pass Hyunsoo here, there is a real chance for ROX, but with JJONG and Duzzi in the end of the pack, in 7th and 8th, the SANDBOX just have the numbers game. But Hyunsoo, he's looking like a tiger on the hunt with his lines. You can see him fall back. However, now it's Jimin trying to deny that 2-3 from ROX. The 7-8 from ROX is looking really bad.
It really is. The Spell needs to actually do more than just block. He almost needs to just create disruption. He needs to actually cause Hyunsoo to fall back, because if Duzzi and JJONG can't actually pass, this one looks like it's all said and done here. Liiv SANDBOX with a massive lead, and they are trying their hardest. Spell wants to push forward. Looks like they've given up on defense. They want to push for the 1-2 as a tall order, and oh man, Spell dropping back to 5th place. I think that is going to do it.
Yeah, Neil is just running away right now in first place, so far away from Spell here. ROX trying to at least control 2-3, but that's not enough when you have a 7-8. Neil is able to carry it with Byung-Soo in a 1-2 finish.
Yeah, sometimes when you have a 7-8 like that, you have your only chance is to go 1-2. And they identified that that's their best bet, because the gap between Jimin and actually their 7-8 was so huge that they were like, well, we've got one chance. They all in for it, but they end up coming up empty as Neil gets even further ahead as a result, and it's an easy cleanup. As it was a pretty tumultuous series of speed, to be honest. Liiv SANDBOX almost taking the 3-0, and then we had a near reverse sweep, but in 5 tracks, well 6 technically, Liiv SANDBOX will take speed 3-2 here, and we'll be now up 1-0 before we move into item mode.
I love that Neil is able to change his playstyle on the go. We saw him playing a lot of sweeping in those first 2 rounds, but in that round 5, his lead in first place was absolutely key, because it really felt like ROX had no way of taking 1-2 away from Neil. And now we're moving into item mode. We're going to see Plansy swapped in.
And Neil is, like you said, I really like that you pointed out, because it's the exact opposite role he played in those first two tracks. You know,
Right.
He's defender. He's the one who's going to actually make that 7-8 happen. But when the 7-8's on the other team and he's got the lead, he's going to be that one who's way at the front. And yeah, Plansy will come in. Daldo will also come in. We have our item aces. Neil, he did his job. He did it well. Now he can take a break. We might see him again if the item mode goes Liiv SANDBOX, or rather ROX's way, and then he might come back out for the ace match and rest his hands.
Keep in mind that out of the 6 sets of item that Liiv SANDBOX has played, they have lost 3 of them. So this is where they show a bit of weakness, and it's that chance for ROX to strike back and try to take us to an ace match.
Definitely a big chance here. Let's see what the draft is going to look like here for items, as it will be ROX's priority. Cogwheel Crush, Sphinx's Riddle, and London Knight are their tracks here. So definitely pushing more towards stuff like the Magnet Rush and some timings to finish the map, as Magma Cavern and Motherload, will be the choices here for Liiv SANDBOX. I do like, if you think you're the stronger team, to ban Shark's Wake, because that one, you just never know. Polar Halfpipe as well, often a lot of chaos. London Knight would have been the third one. I think they would have banned if they could, but because there's only 2 bans, it's going to be the final track. ROX pick it up here.
Yeah, and I like that Glacier tracks were both banned out by Liiv SANDBOX. They don't want any of that. We've seen too many teams opt for the strategy of first picking Shark's Wake, and Liiv SANDBOX really respecting that, potentially coming in from ROX.
Yeah, definitely true.
Oh, I like that little picture of Hyunsu there.
Yeah, it's got a lot of funny Hyunsu pictures put on interesting drawings this year. It's been a trend, okay? Liiv SANDBOX up 1-0 in this series. Let's see if ROX can shore us up on item mode, starting things off on Factory Cogwheel Crush.
This is going to be the first round of item between Seongnam ROX and Liiv SANDBOX. As we said, ROX, they really got to get some momentum back here in the item mode.
Double barricade is pretty rare this early on. Jimin tries his best to make an impact with it. Will be slight. As you see, the arm here will force a wider one. Another barricade coming through. Gotta watch those nanners here on this track. Cogwheel Crush has some really weird obstacles that you have to avoid. As Ding is just going to take a bunch of damage. It's chaos up here in the front lines.
Right, and we're seeing a lot of barricades being thrown around, but not to great usage. Our players are too proficient at dodging those out. It seems like a lightning has been picked up for JJONG, however, which is a very good item.
Hyunsu, 2 shields in first. That's a pretty ideal setup here. We'll have to use 1 to avoid this barricade, and he's still going to get hit with the EMP. Byungsu now going to swamp his way into first, and they won't take the shortcut, just going to take the inner here. Very safe pathing. Ding getting hit as well, trying to deny him some items as well. Nice cut there from Hyunsu. We'll get magneted.
Right. Seems like Byungsu is just really trying to take this one home, but Duzzi is right there behind him. He's able to take the lead now, in fact, with the shield and the nitrous combo. That may buy a lot of space for Duzzi.
All right, so lightning here held by JJONG. And so oftentimes when you get lightning, you want to play a more supportive role, but he got an EMP, so feeling a little bit awkward to do that. Not a very useful item. You see he's actually just kind of allowing the rest of his teammates to push back. He'll toss the EMP and look for a rocket here. So he's now going to move back into 6 here and play defense and play supportive and try to build up some angels, for example, or a second lightning. But ROX really kind of struggling in terms of their positions right now. Several nitros held, several lightnings, but the advantage definitely goes to Liiv SANDBOX in terms of Jimin's lead right now and the items held. You know, Jimin's pulling a big lead here, but one single UFO could ruin their plans.
And double lightning by JJONG. The clouds are forming in the skies. Wolf and the water bomb.
Oh, he hit by the water bomb.
Him.
I mean, they might just be doomed here now. There's no magnet for Liiv SANDBOX, actually. And Planty's just pushing through the shortcut. 400 meters to go. We'll get UFO. Ding needs to hold strong here on the jump.
Seems like Ding is trying to run away with this. Liiv SANDBOX, they're going to get slowed down by the lightning. Duzzi, he slides his way into the finish line. It feels like ROX really had a good handle on this track. The lightning usage at the end was really good.
Yeah, I think they were able to identify as well that with no magnets, Liiv SANDBOX couldn't really actually use their items to stop their final push. And so they just decided to take that shortcut and push through, and Liiv SANDBOX just ran out of steam. And with Lightning, you know Lightning can kind of be like an angel in itself because it just stops any final pushes from coming through. And even if an attack comes over, you're not going to be able to catch up oftentimes because you're going too slow. beyond that, also, with that final turn, it's very difficult to attack. Your angle becomes really hard to actually hit. So, good start here for Seongnam ROX in item. See if they can keep the momentum going.
Yeah, I love that they were able to pick up this momentum in their track of choice. And if they win in the next track, I feel like the momentum is going to swing heavily for ROX, and they could definitely bring us to an ace match.
Definitely could. And, I mean, ROX have really changed their item mode playstyle with this roster. They were arguably one of the weakest item mode teams in Preseason 1, but they have looked much better this season. It would be crazy if that is what it's going to take to bring us to an ace match against Liiv SANDBOX. Moving to the second track, Mine, Magma Cavern. Off we go. Seongnam ROX 1-0 here in item mode. However, Liiv SANDBOX taking speed, so trying to bring us to an ace match.
Yep, we are seeing a lot of defensive items for Liiv SANDBOX here. 2 Angels as well as a shield.
Early magnets as well.
Yeah, ROX. JJONG with double magnets and double magnets for Thing as well.
Yeah, 3 magnets there holding this 3-lap track. Because it's a 3-lapper, though, you know, you're going to be holding onto those a long time. There's an opportunity cost for how long you hold it. Hyunsu pushed off the track as Dalda is picking up a pretty huge lead.
Absolutely. It feels like a lot of room is being bought here. Byung-soo getting caught up by that water bomb doesn't matter too much.
It's not the wisp he was looking for.
Yeah.
Look at how ahead Dalda is. This is actually kind of absurd. We talk about how this strategy usually doesn't work.
Right.
And then we're like, but maybe this is the time, and then it usually still doesn't work. But, I mean, this one is pretty crazy. Like, the picture-in-picture, where he is on the track, if you're familiar with the track, you can tell how far ahead he is. But if you actually looked at the track itself, like zoomed out on the map, you would realize, like, this is actually insane. Like, the barricade is hilarious that it's able to catch that close to him. But he's going to get his first UFO, dodges another barricade here. And Byung-soo is just blocking for him, man. I mean, he's actually on lap 3.
Yeah.
Like, look at the lead here.
Keep in mind that every time ROX has tried to catch up, they were getting caught out by the water bombs and the water wisps. So the support from Liiv SANDBOX is absolutely crucial in maintaining this lead for Dalda.
Yeah, shield comes out on that lightning. He is going to get UFO'd. I would have liked to see him cycle one, because of the lead, I would have liked to see him cycle one shield out earlier for an EMP, but he actually was able to get one, and now a second one.
500 meters.
And I think he's done this. He's going to be able to shield this lightning. He's got an angel on top of him, and nobody's even close, man. Not even close, not even slightly. 300 meters ahead of everybody else, and he's emoting across the finish line. One more UFO will attack him, but that was the strategy working, but I think there were a lot of things that went exactly right. Like, that was definitely the Goldilocks push for him, where he had literally all the advantages you could ask for early. Chaos in that choke point where people kept getting hit by water bombs over and over and over again. Then the support of his team, and there was just no way. The gap between first and second is 4 seconds.
And that's with his own teammate.
Yeah, that's his own teammate as well, as you say. Very dominant win here for Dalda, the item ace.
Feels like Liiv SANDBOX, they were able to deliver us a classic item mode win. This is the picture perfect in the textbook. This is how you win item mode.
Yeah. Very much I mean, it's a cool shot calling moment as well, because you know that Dalda is going like, all right, you guys, we're committing to this. I'm going to try to hold shields. Traded for the EMP a little bit late there, but eventually was able to get 2 EMPs back to back and just allowed his teammates to then defend him. We're going to see which one of these teams now will take the lead. We're tied up 1-1 on item mode as we move into Desert. Sphinx's Riddle.
We are here now in item round 3, 1 point per team. As we see, this is going to be a 3-lapper track, and Ding, he does have a very early angel on his side.
He does. Have a lot of different things you can use that for, but generally you'll want to hold on to it. If he picks up especially something like a lightning, he's just going to say, all right, well guys, I'm going to 8th. You guys can actually push forward instead. Grabs a rocket though, so not going to be taking that roll just yet. We'll use it immediately. fish for another item. As right now, ROX have a pretty good number of carts up here towards the top half, but it's Byungsu who's in the lead, albeit Banana not going to be too helpful on that one. Good shield.
Definitely a nice shield there for Duzzi. He's holding onto an EMP, so he's kind of immune against the potential magnets coming out of Hyunsu. And it seems like, dang, he's still holding onto the Angel. There hasn't been enough pressure to utilize that yet.
Byungsu will not be able to, even with these defensive shields, and picking up 2 more and blocks all these attacks without, even with all these shields, he won't be able to repeat what we saw from Dalda in the last one. All it takes is one single hit, and then you've lost all your momentum, as you can see here. So even though he has that really nice advantage, it's not even close to what we saw on the previous track. But he's got a lot of support from his teammates now, and this is where things start to get a little bit scary here for ROX.
Seems like they do have a lot of magnets on their side. Joe with the double magnet. He's going to be utilizing that to catch up very soon. For Liiv SANDBOX, there's no EMP. Duzzi picks up a lightning as well. I feel like ROX does have a comeback angle in lap 3.
Yeah, they certainly do. JJONG caught here. Banana actually coming down the corner there looked very scary, but I'm not sure if it even hit anybody. As Hyunsu actually going to use a magnet here for tempo. Ding up here in top 3, but he's only got a rocket and an angel. We need to see these magnet players actually get up. JJONG here now starting to challenge, and he should probably just pop one early because you have to use both of these, you know, you have to kind of use one at a time, right? So he needs to use one early. Now he uses it. Has one missile here as well as that magnet. The timing of this is everything. He's the best chance here for ROX. Everyone else is falling behind. No more tools. Angel's out. Here comes the magnet.
And JJONG, he's holding onto a magnet here, saving it for the final moment, and JJONG is going to make the comeback happen.
Yeah, saved it till the last possible second. Angel comes out there too. You can't block magnets with the Angel, but he wanted to make sure that there was no counterplay to the magnet. So if you actually get about that distance, you kind of get to yoink past them. If you actually go further behind, you'll get more value out of the magnet overall. But with that short of a distance to the track, if you use it just like that, you can kind of just pop past at the last possible second. Might get a replay of it. Look at how close it is. Just 0.1 seconds ahead with that finish there as he uses the magnet to close it out. And ROX now on match point here in item as ace match could be on the horizon.
Yep, one more match win here, an item for ROX, and we go to that ace match. I love the strategy here by JJONG. He was so patient in holding on to his double magnets, and you were waiting for him, Wolf, to pop one of them. He did. He caught up to the top 3, and then he saved his second magnet for the very last second, and he was able to come back.
The word I was looking for was stagger. You have to stagger the usage of them. You can't just stack them. He did finally eventually do that, and I eventually figured out the word I was trying to use there. But, Peter, we're moving into Mind Motherload to see if ROX can bring us to an ace match or if we're going into 5 for item mode. Off we go here. ROX looking very solid in terms of strategy here and timings. And the map pool they chose suggests that that is definitely the way they want to go about things. Byungsu gonna have a bit of a bump with the wall there as we have some EMPs picked up here for ROX early. Can be impactful, but usually not what you want. See those cycle through.
Yep, and we're seeing an EMP and a shield being held very long by Ding. He seems to have a significant lead for himself, but he's going to get stopped out by the barricade as well as the water bomb.
If he had that shield just a second earlier, I think he would have actually been able to recover there, because if you have shields and an EMP both, you really feel very comfortable after your position. As you can see here, you can block everything, but eventually you run out, and he didn't have a big enough lead to where that was going to be okay. So Byungsu now is going to push his way into first. Will shield that Wisp.
Oh my, these shields coming out of Byungsu are so clutch. He was able to block out almost 3 attacks, but he's going to get caught out by that Wisp, buying a lot of time for JJONG to catch up.
One magnet picked up here in the second lap for Duzzi. He's actually now got 2, so he can use one to move into the middle of the pack and then try to look for a timing just like we saw on the previous track, but much tougher to use on this track because Mind Motherload has a lot of winding turns, so the timing has to be basically at the end exactly. And here he comes with that first magnet. Now he's got the second one. Actually, he's going to lock it in now, not wait for that timing, so...
Yep, he's got double missile now, so if he can catch up to Byungsu, he can start utilizing them. However, a shield in the pocket for Byungsu, trying to keep up this magnificent lead that he's built up so far.
Yeah, Duzzi up onto the high ground here, caught, but trying to block a little bit here. Byungsu, look at the map. He is significantly far ahead right now. Gonna need to see those missiles connect here. A shield is out for him as well, so he can block that last one.
Yeah, and keep in mind that Liiv SANDBOX, they're holding on to 3 Angels right now, so they're really able to support Byung-Soo on this one.
He also has the EMP, so gonna get hit by that one because he didn't have a shield, but now he's got one and the EMP, and if they can just focus on JJONG here, it's pretty easy for him to close this one out. Needs to avoid some of these hits here, wants to save that shield till last possible second. Duzzi, though, has a missile. He's actually sneaked into first place here. Someone's going to have to catch this guy. They've got tools.
Yep, Hyunsoo has the magnet to catch up here. The Angel's going to get popped to block out the water bomb. I love the usage there, and it seems like Duzzi's going to spin out of control. Jimin is able to take control of that one as well, come in first place.
We're going to 5 in items, and Liiv SANDBOX may yet have that opportunity to lock in their upper bracket position in postseason. All they need to do is win this final track and close it out 2-0. No ace match required. It's the timing of that push there at the end. Very nicely done, using the Angel and the Magnet in conjunction there. ROX looked like they may have been able to actually make a push work, but I think that using the double magnet early as they did might have backfired in a big way. Could have been a little bit more patient with that one, but ultimately they decide to toss them out early. And now we're going to the final track choice here of ROX. Seongnam ROX chose World Tour London Night. This is definitely where you have to make that timing work.
Yeah, as you put it, Wolf, earlier, this is the track where timing comes in super clutch because it's that final moment before the Ferris wheel where if you end up losing momentum, you're kind of done for. So you got to make sure that your team has the Angel for you. If not, then you have your own shield. I feel like we've seen a lot of magnet boosts come into great usage in London Night still as well in preseason 2.
Yeah. So this is the final moment here. Pretty straightforward. Jimin and crew having the shield, the Angel, that is to say, in that final push. No way to shut them down. London Night, though, I mean, this one gets pretty chaotic. This is one where that final push is everything, and ROX have been so good so far at actually making that happen, despite being weak at Preseason 1. Let's see if we're going to an ace match or if Liiv SANDBOX is going to close this one out 2-0.
A round 5 in item that determines everything. Of course, London Night is going to be a 3-lapper track. Our teams have plenty of time to pick up items like Angel.
Yeah, getting a little bit trolled by the double-decker bus there for a second as everybody is magnets out early.
And the lightning as well for Hyunsoo. I love that early pickup.
Yeah, that's going to feel very impactful, but you have to be good with how you use it, because if you're in first place...
Oh my god,
yeah,
Clancy!
Yeah, that was... pretty sick. So now they have 2 lightnings to Hyunsoo's 1, and Hyunsoo's also in first place, so that's not usually where you want to have your lightning. They may just simply use it to counter the first lightning usage of ROX, but otherwise, you know, having this in first lap isn't that useful either. Now, lightning is so good at countering those final pushes because it means you can just shut down all momentum, all speed.
Right.
So if I'm Hyunsoo here, I'm probably trying to see if I could swap places with somebody else and get a secondary defensive item like an Angel. But he's just completely holding on to first place here. He's going to grab a shield at least. Let's see if this pays off, because I think it's quite risky when you consider 2 lightnings on the other side. We would rather have somebody else in the front running spot looking for a big combo.
And you can see a lot of nitrous being picked up here, so it's going to pick up a lot of the pace for our back and middle line. Seems like 3 lightnings are all we have in the field so far. Only 1 Angel being held for Byung-Soo. So our teams are getting really set up right now for this final lap.
Yeah. I mean, the lead here that Hyunsoo has is so minute. He's actually not getting hit with any attacks, which is wild. Okay, finally, because he only has an EMP, which he will end up using there, but still loses a lot of control. He's actually now in last place. Picks up another EMP. It was quite bizarre. At the end of the day, though, I mean, Byung-Soo now is the one who has to get it done. 500 meters to go. Lightning's going to be staggered here by ROX. Dalda, can he avoid the second one? Got an Angel, but it's not enough. Does he pass him? No, he cannot. And Liiv SANDBOX will take it. Very close. Very close. Lightning there.
Oh my.
Staggered is barely enough.
You can see how happy they look, completely jumping and cheering. I love to see that team spirit coming out of them. It must mean the world to them to show up here and be like, you know, ROX, they have all the attention on them right now for having a perfect season, but we, the Liiv Sandbox, you cannot forget about us.
Yeah. And, I mean, you look at the way that this series went down, though, for ROX, it's pretty impressive. They really pushed Liiv Sandbox to the brink. Their perfect season is over, but they're still going to go to playoffs, you know? And Liiv Sandbox, on the other hand, they secure the spot in upper. They bounced back in a big way because I think the beginning of the season was a little bit rocky. You know, it was still figuring out how to integrate these new players into their roster, but they're starting to look a lot more confident now. And to be able to make this statement win happen against that undefeated team is definitely the kind of win you're looking for. And I think that's why they celebrated so much. It was a hard-fought victory, but they are ultimately able to take it in the end. No ace match required. A 2-0 for Liiv Sandbox.
Yep, they were able to take that speed 3-2, and they were able to finally break their item mode curse and show that they can beat a strong item team like ROX Esports and take that one 3-2 as well.
Yeah, very much a pivotal win here for them. This won't affect too much of the lower standings where we're looking at teams like Showtime down there.
Yep.
And Aura, who I believe we had confirmation are actually eliminated because of our previous set, but we'll take a closer look at the standings later on before we go into solos. But this is a huge win. And for ROX, I mean, I don't think you look at this series going, this is a huge setback for me. You know, it's a tough opponent that you will play against in the playoffs. You will likely meet them. You will likely have to do battle with them again. You probably take a lot away from this series. You probably learned a lot from this series. And the victory that we did see from them and the bounce back in speed, especially after what was a regame, bringing that back so early is great to see. And the win here will push Liiv Sandbox into first place 6-1. That's their final game of the season. They will guarantee that upper bracket position even if Seongnam ROX pass them, because they'll be top 2. And then, of course, for Aura, sitting down at 3-3. Very much low in the set score, which is why mathematically it was being discussed they were eliminated, because you can only get +2 at best. And even if both of the other Kwangdong and Sensation lose, you can only lose -2, so they wouldn't go down to 0. So, yeah, mathematically speaking, I can confirm from looking at this that, yeah, they will not be going to playoffs. So that's the cutoff line. We know who it's going to be.
Yeah, that's the difference of the set wins and the round wins coming in. And today was an important day for all the teams because the 4 teams that are moving on into postseason all got to feel each other out today. And it was pretty clean win overall, I would say. Although it did go to 3-2 each time. Liiv Sandbox, they show the form they're in. They're looking pretty dominant, as you put it, Wolf. And in the earlier match today, we did go to an ace match, but we got to see the form of Hojin and his team.
Yeah, we really did. And Sensation winning this clutched that playoff spot out. Now you know Aura's not going. Now you know that you're actually in top 4. You get to have that opportunity to play through that double elimination bracket and show your stuff. And with these 4 teams, anything can happen, right? I'm sad Aura's not going to be there because I think they're also a really incredible team. And, you know, maybe in the future we'll end up having a different format where we have more playoff teams. But for now, you know, we have to put that cutoff line straight up in the middle. But still, Sensation, I think, even with, you know, what we saw from them in preseason 1, a lot of people are looking at it going, well, I don't expect it's going to be them this time. I hope that ROX can turn it around. We'll see ROX, Aura, Liiv Sandbox, Kwangdong, right? But Sensation, they defied expectations. They came in with a very strong start to the season. They maintained that form. And for Liiv Sandbox, bouncing back, right? And I think we're going to have a pretty competitive postseason. We had one in preseason 1 where, you know, we had that sudden underdog Aura pushing their way through. Kwangdong also arguably slight underdogs to Liiv Sandbox. They're able to take it in the end. And who knows? Maybe Sensation make a heroic one to be our final preseason champions.
Yeah, a lot of the classic rivalries are being upset here in KDL. And it's just a start of a new slate for all the players. It was KWANGDONGFREECS with a really nice win for themselves in preseason 1. But given how competitive our teams are right now, I can't place my fingers on Kwangdong and say they're likely going to win preseason 2 just because they're a defending champion. No, all of these teams are looking so phenomenal.
Now, it is going to be our losers match, our elimination match for solos that we're going to have coming up right after a short commercial break. We'll see you guys in just a few.
I try to erase you, but you're written in ink. I really can't face you. all that I see. It just makes me mad that I want you back, but I can't stop thinking about it. I'm stuck living without it. That look on your face, how it made me feel safe. Now I can't stop thinking about it, but I'm better off without it. Ooh, we were never destined to live inside this tension. Call us a learning lesson. Ooh, 'cause there's a better me at the end of all these feelings. Call us a learning lesson. Everything's clearer when you're not in the way. But in the mirror, I still see your face. It just makes me mad that I want you back, but I can't stop thinking about it. I'm stuck living without it. That look on your face, how it made me feel safe. Now I can't stop thinking about it, but I'm better off without it. Ooh, we were never destined to live inside this tension. Call us a learning lesson. Ooh, 'cause there's a better me at the end of all these feelings. Call us a learning lesson. I'm trying, I'm finding, I think I'll be alright. Just give me time. I'm trying, I'm finding, I think I'll be alright. Just give me time. I'm trying, I'm finding, I think I'll be alright. Just give me time. I'm trying, I'm finding, I think I'll be alright. Just give me time. Ooh, we were never destined to live inside this tension. Call us a learning lesson. Ooh, 'cause there's a better me at the end of all these feelings. Call us a learning lesson.
I roll out of bed. I fix my hair. I try to hide it. I try to fight it, but it's always there. I talk to myself. Ask what's your name.